Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to my channel. Happy Journey Together release day. It's finally here. We've had rotation, so what better place to celebrate it by looking at what I think are the top 5 competitive decks in this brand new format. Looking at decks that have done really well in Japan, but also what I think could really translate well into our metagame. Just want to say thank you again so much for supporting my channel. Hope you guys enjoyed the road video I did a few days ago. So now let's jump right into the list about what I think are the top 5 competitive decks for this brand new format. Now, I want to start with my number one pick being Ends Zoroark. Yes, I know this may not be the most competitive, but right now I love this archetype. I think it is a lot of fun. It's a huge reminiscence, and I think it's definitely the strongest version of the new owner's Pokemon. It did pretty well over in Japan, getting about 4% of City League meta share, and the Champions League did get one top 16. Now, what has great things going for Zoroark is it has the ability trade, gets you to discard one card from your hand and draw two cards, and the ability, attack for 2 dark energy lets you copy any of your Pokemon's attacks on the bench. Your main copy is likes of Dramatam, which is when you discard all energies, you do 90 damage and then 90 damage to one of your opponent's bench, or you have Reshiram with the Outrage attack, so it's also doing 170 damage. Now this output is just a little bit low, so we play lots of other stuff to really buff up its attack thing, which is exactly why I think this deck really works, but I think having that limited damage output is what's really setting it back. This is a list I've been kind of playing around with. I think it's a really strong one. I've opted to play the likes of Ends Joltik in this deck. It's a quite sort of nice little tech, especially against the likes of Tera Box. We don't have that many tool removal, so what this does, you copy Ends Joltik's attack, you do 30 damage to this one, and if you discard a tool card in this fashion, you get to make your opponent's active Pokemon paralyzed, and we don't have that many switching cards right now, so I think this is a great inclusion. I've opted to play likes of Luna with having that binding Mochi sort of effect, which obviously it won't really work, but I think it's a really powerful one to actually deal huge amount of damage output as well. Binding Mochi for Zoroark, so you can actually make sure when you copy Reshiram's attack, you can do 210 damage. We're already playing the Petron, so we have that switching out, which I really like. We're opting to play maximum count of Ends PP up, and Reversal Energy, make sure you can attack with Dramatam as well. And Unfair Stamp is our ace spec of choice. I really like this deck. It's a deck I've been testing quite a lot in this format, and I think it's definitely one of the strongest on this deck. So now looking at number 4, it's actually Archaludon, and I really like Archaludon right now. Definitely in the tail end of Journeys Together going into the Heat Wave Arena. It's kind of seen as more of its birth of this poison archetype, and I think this is definitely going to be the best way to play Archaludon going forward. It has some amazing secondary attacking options, like having that Petron, and also poisoning Archaludon makes sure it can hit a huge amount of damage. 300 damage is very difficult for certain decks to kind of like fit up to and actually hit that number. So that's also one of the definitely thing I think a limitation of Archaludon is it can be a bit clunky now. It's much more of a setup archetype. This is the list I've kind of been toying around with and think it's definitely the strongest one to go with. Obviously you can see it plays a lot of good poison outputs. Has that Petron as well, which puts 5 more damage counters. And the Brute Bonnet to poison both active Pokemon and the Pressure Stronger, as well as also binding Mochi, having that Badu. So if you attack with Badu with all these poison factors, you're basically doing 80 damage, which I think is, I believe it's only 50 damage because you don't have that Radiant Sneezer. So I think this is, it is 80 damage. I always get these numbers confused at times, which I think is still really good. Secret Box is an amazing ace spec. Lots of people think Trolley could be good because set up all the board state, but having Secret Box, it makes sure you get your tool card, your stadium card, your supporter, and an item card as well. So getting the Nest Ball to get out of your Badu, getting the supporter card like Professor Research or even Carmine, or then you're also getting the Perilous Jungle and the Binding Mochi, or even the Ancient Booster Capture Energy. This works really well if you go first or second. Put in this pressure. You want to limit them from not getting full effect out of Serendipity, or potentially getting that donking factor with that Petron in the active spot. I was testing a lot of this before Worlds, before it got and realized it was going to be banned, but I think this archetype is really, really strong. It really puts Archaludon in a much better position. Yes, you do have the Hop Zacian sort of build, which I personally am a huge favorite for, but I think this poison deck is definitely the best way to play Archaludon in the post-rotation format. Now, number 3 goes to Raging Bolt, and of course this deck is doing incredibly well. Did really well, nearly 12% of City League meta share is Raging Bolt, and did get one top 16 placement. It is definitely a little bit slower than it once was. We've lost a lot of the good keys of support it really had from losing that likes of the Radiant Greninja, Luminion, Trekking Shoes, Pokestop. So going much slower and getting knocked out is an amazing sort of partner. As if you have a ton of Terra Pokemon like the Tilmas Ogapom and play, or sometimes even Cornerstone Master as well. So kind of like evolving your Noctowl and search your deck for any trainer card. You're getting the Sada, you're getting Ultra Balls, you're getting Earthen Vessel, which I think is really good. It's a very consistent way, but this is a little bit slower than it once was. This is the build I've kind of been playing around with and think it's really, really strong. You can see here you play a 4-3 line of Noctowl. You do play that one copy with an 80 HP Hutu, because it's really good to have that additional protection. Dragapult lists are kind of opting to play Hawlucha to have that little bit more of that damage modifying around here. And obviously, if you have just the 70 HP one, that can be killed from that Dragapult with that Phantom Dive plus the Hawlucha Snipe as well. So having an 80 HP one, yes, you're sacrificing a retreat cost, but you do have that Latias as well. You can see here, let's play some interesting cards like Crispin. What I love about Crispin, you get that energy acceleration, what Sada has to offer as well, but from the decks, you're drawing into potentially better cards as well. You play the Baby Raging Bolt, which does more damage amount of energies attached to this one. You have Sada, you have Crispin, you have lots of ways to actually just energy accelerate it slowly. And obviously, this could be good to actually bench snipe any of these Mimikyus or Hutus as well on the opponent's side. I really like this deck. I think it's a very nice. Jamming Tower is great because slowing down lots of archetypes now, which can just capitalize on having Bravery Charms in now, as we don't really have that many tool removal right now. So I think this deck is just a very, very strong, especially in the late game. You can remove your Area 0 after you've utilized lots of your Noctowls and Fan Rotons overall. Now, my number 2 pick does go to Dragapult. I wish it was number 1, but I think more realistically, it is a number 2 deck. It is my favorite archetype. Obviously, I'm coming off from a top 256 placement over in Stockholm, and I think this deck is very, very strong in the post-rotation format. Now, obviously, it's very weak, I feel like, to Tera Box, and if you haven't watched the video of me playing against it, you can see how much you really, really lose from not being as fast as you once was, but you don't really also lose a lot from rotation. You still have a lot of your good key cards you're used to. You still have your Dragapults, you still have your Dusknoids, and all of those sort of key things, and spraying damage taking multiple KOs is definitely the best way forward. This is kind of the build I've been playing around with, and I think it's the best one. You're definitely more of a toolbox engine by utilizing lots of tools. Going back to TM Evolution, because you don't have Lance anymore. So having Shock as well is good because you can get out your Dracloaks, get out your Dusclops as well. But also just having the TM Evolution as well on the first turn as well. If you're not really going to Budu, yes, we do play much more of M1. So you want to be that more oppressive as well. EXP Share is another way to have that energy acceleration. Most Dragapult lists are now opting to play the Monkey Dory package in post-rotation, the Unfair Stamp, having the Bloodmere Luna, but I think going with this build is still much more consistent and the build I much more prefer to play. And even TM Devolution as well, I think makes a really good inclusion for Dragapult. If we've seen a lot more of these Tera Box, Dragapults, lots of these spread evolving style archetypes, and especially with lots of Hutus around, I think TM Devolution is great to take multiple prize cards from setting out these huge amount of damage KOs. So I really, really love Dragapult in the post-rotation format. And of course, the number 1 deck, which I think in post-rotation is Tera Box. And there is no shock at all why it did really well in the Champions League, and lots of players of the International, which went at the Champions League, like Torch, like Rahul, opted to play this deck. It has answers to pretty much everything. It is so fast and utilizes Noctowl, I think, to the best effect. Now, you could play it, obviously, in the old rotation, but I think right now it is just incredibly powerful. Yes, it can struggle against walls like these not damaging EXs or basic Pokemon or things like that, but it is so fast and so aggressive. It's exactly how it can win a sort of matchup. That's why I really love this deck. If you just look at this list, it is pretty much exactly towards 60, and I think this list is absolutely perfect. We do play one more Onus Pokemon with that Lily's Clefairy, making sure your Psychic Pokemon, i.e. Lily's Clefairy, hits a weakness against Dragapult and likes a Raging Bolt. So you have a really good matchup into this one. You have great attacking options. Obviously, Wellspring Master Ogerpon is your main sort of attack in the early game. If Dragapult, Raging Bolt, all of these sort of Zoroark as well, all focus on having these single prize starting up before they evolve into this one very low HP. This is where Wellspring Master Ogerpon can really kick huge effect to this one. Pikachu giving 300 damage, one hit carrying Archaludon, one hit carrying all of the big scary archetypes. It's really, really strong. You play a 4-4 line of Noctowl, making sure you get every single card you want to have. Ditto is just that fourth, third, even second copy of multiple sort of cards. It's your third Fan Rotom. It's your third Wellspring Master Ogerpon EX, which I really, really like. Especially Noctowl just searching out Sparkling Crystal plus Crispin. Make sure you can attack with pretty much any of your guys, which is really, really scary. And of course, you can actually attack with Trapagos's EX's first attack as well, which is really interesting. Yes, you could opt, you potentially could play the likes of what's it called? Super Rod in this one, so you can constantly utilize them Crispin, but you need to be really careful about when you're attaching energies. But I think Tera Box is incredible. If you haven't tested it, please test it because you're going to know about it a lot, and I would not be surprised if this is going to be a 20% archetype in Atlanta. So Let me know what you think about what you think are the best decks in Journey Together. Do you agree with me? Do you think Tera Box is the best Archaludon, or do you think the likes of Dragapult and Bolt have a much better shot in the metagame? Or do you think I put Zoroark much higher up, and some other decks like Golden Go and Zacian should actually have made the list? This will say again, thank you so much for the support. Let me know in a comment down below what you're going to be testing in Journey Together. I am so excited for this new format and so excited for a turn of owners Pokemon, and will constantly be playing them pretty much until I'm unable to when megas are released. So I'll see you guys in a few days' time for another video. Bye for now.